I am not panicking on the Boston Celtics at all after this very eventful offseason that they have had, and boy, it has been eventful to say the least. What a last 3 weeks for the Boston Celtics it has been since the season ended, this free agency period opened. We've seen some trades from some guys that were pivotal in this Boston Celtics championship run. We had the draft, we had some guys that the Boston Celtics signed this past week as well, and we have some big time rumors for what the Celtics are still going to do, and it has been confirmed that they are still going to make some big time moves. So this is not the final Celtics roster that we will see as we head into the off season and get ready to get into the regular season in a few months, but the Celtics are going to be very active. Let's dive into everything that we've seen over the past few weeks here. Of course, it was evident the Boston Celtics were going to make some big time moves this off season, regardless of how they did in the postseason. Yes, Tatum did tear his Achilles and they lost in the second round. If they would have gone on to win a championship, these moves still would have happened. That was reported by Shams Charania weeks into the playoffs, and it was evident that this was going to happen. As of June 15th, the Celtics luxury tax bill and salary cap bill was $540 million. Just a ridiculous bill, and this new owner did not want to pick that up. So the Celtics and Brad Stevens had to go to work to try and get some of these players off of the roster to really shrink down this bill, and that's exactly what they did right when this window opened. Jrue Holiday was traded for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. Anthony Simons, a younger guard who is a very twitchy player who can score the ball at will with volume. I think that was a very good move for the Celtics to get rid of an aging Jrue Holiday with a very expensive contract. The fact they got back a young piece in Anthony Simons was very good. I don't know if Anthony Simons is going to be on the Celtics for the long run. I know a lot of people were really excited to get him for Jrue Holiday because anytime you can get a player that is cheaper and younger, you will take that every day of the week, and I don't think it's too much of a drop-off. Yes, Jrue Holiday was pivotal in the Celtics championship run. He was the third leading scorer when they won it all a year ago. He was instrumental defensively. All I can think about is that big time steal he had in the conference finals against the Pacers to seal the deal in game 3. Jrue Holiday is a Celtics legend for sure. He was instrumental in that championship run. The next move that the Boston Celtics made was trading Kristaps Porzingis for George Niang and a second round pick in a 3-team trade. This was evident as well. I think the two guys that were really rumored the most to eventually be off the Celtics this offseason was Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. We saw Holiday go first, then it was Porzingis' time, and both of those guys were gone. When both of them were gone, with those two monster contracts that they had, the Celtics luxury tax bill went from $540 all the way down to $280 million. So a $250 million-ish swing from both of those numbers. Just a ridiculous decrease in that bill the Celtics were going to have to pay. So two guys that were just monumental for the Celtics winning that championship are now off the team. And I think it was bittersweet for Kristaps Porzingis. On one hand, you had a lot of people that absolutely loved him because he was so big in that Celtics championship run. All I can think about with him is that huge block that he had. Mike Breen called it. He was like, he's got one man to beat, but it's a 7-footer. And Kristaps Porzingis was huge in that game 1 against the Dallas Mavericks, but he was really nowhere to be found in the postseason this year. He battled kind of that mystery illness leading into the postseason. He really did not play much this year. I think you had another handful of Celtics fans that were kind of delighted to get him off of the team. Now both of those guys are gone. That would not be all, though. The Celtics in free agency also would lose Luke Kornet to a 4-year, $41 million contract to the San Antonio Spurs. 3 really big-time players for the Celtics team. Luke Kornet was really big in that Knicks game, in that Knicks series in general. When Kristaps Porzingis was kind of up and down, Kornet gave them some really good minutes in that game 5 right after Tatum had torn his Achilles. And then they go on to lose game 6. I think the Celtics were okay kind of swallowing this pill of losing this roster from the past because of the Tatum Achilles injury. Yes, Tatum is probably not going to play all of next season. You don't want to rush anything back. If he can make it back next season, realistically, it's not going to be until probably the first or second round of the playoffs. I do think the Celtics with this current roster can get into the playoffs in just a abysmal Eastern Conference. I think they can sneak in as a 5 or 6 seed. And even if they have to go win it in the play-in, they can do so. This roster still has some talent. I think more moves are going to be made. We saw them sign Luka Garza as a nice little backup big. They also signed Josh Mignoy from the Wolves as well. So 2 Minnesota Timberwolves formerly, now on the Boston Celtics. They also drafted Hugo Gonzalez in the first round. A nice, interesting piece to see how he kind of develops. A talented player for sure, can shoot the 3 ball. So I'm curious to see how he kind of evolves and develops with the Boston Celtics. And I think right now, as an outsider of the Boston Celtics, I think you have to go into this season looking at the silver lining and taking it on a positive note. I think the fact that the Celtics still have Derek White and Jaylen Brown is tremendous. Brad Stevens did not want to blow anything up. He wanted to keep both of those guys. And he said it is going to take a historic haul to get either one of those guys off our team. And I think it was great for the Celtics that Desmond Bane kind of set the tone in the entire trade market when he got shipped for 4 first-round picks, a veteran, and some other things. So I think that was good for the Celtics to kind of set the tone. Like, hey, if you want Derek White, we value him higher than Desmond Bane. If you want Jaylen Brown, we value him as one of the best players in the NBA. You're going to have to give up a historic haul for him. And the Celtics obviously didn't receive any offers that they liked enough. So they kept those 2 guys. I think you have to be happy about that. You kept your core intact. You obviously still have Jason Tatum. And I think those 3 guys are going to be very, very big for this Celtics team moving forward. Now, what does the rest of the team look like? I think that's really going to be the biggest question mark for this Celtics team as we dive into the rest of the offseason. I expect the Celtics to still make some moves. You have a guy like Damian Lillard. Do the Celtics decide to go pick him up even though he's not going to play next year? The Milwaukee Bucks are going to be paying that big chunk of his contract. So if the Celtics say, hey, we'll get you on a vet minimum or we'll pay you $10 million a year, please bring Damian Lillard to the Boston Celtics. Let him and JT heal up in the Achilles factory, come back next year and say, heck yeah, let's go win a championship now. I would love to see that personally. I think also, is Sam Hauser still on this team? I think he's been rumored in a lot of different trades and stuff. That's going to be an interesting piece to see if he stays. Another guy that I have my eye on that the Celtics need to retain, in my opinion, is Al Horford. They already lost 2 of their centers. If they lose Al, they will have lost all of their center depth pretty much. It'll just be down to Luka Garza and Neemias Queta for the Celtics starting big position, which is just not ideal. It's less than ideal for the Celtics team. I think Al Horford is most likely going to sign with a different team. I would not be surprised if he went to the Golden State Warriors or went to a different team to finish up his career, which, yes, would be disappointing for the Boston Celtics. If they lose Al, and I think even right now, if Al decides to stay, they need another center. They cannot go into next season with a center rotation of Al Horford, Luka Garza, and Neemias Queta. And if Al's gone, just Luka Garza and Neemias Queta. That's not going to get it done. I've seen some stuff that, hey, maybe the Celtics want to go get Robert Williams and have a reunion with him. I think that would be great. He's very injury prone, so it is risky, but I think you can buy him low because he had that knee injury last season and didn't play much of the year. I think that would be a great buy low spot. Not to mention the Blazers have Donovan Kling, who they drafted in the first round last year. So maybe Robert Williams will return to the Boston Celtics. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the C's can do. I think right now, next year is definitely up in the air. I mean, right now, when you look at this starting lineup, you've got Derek White, you've got Anthony Simons, you've got Jaylen Brown, you've got George Niang, and you've got Neemias Queta. That's simply not going to get the job done. And I don't think this Celtics team, if they don't get Tatum back, I think this could be a punt on a year, but I'm curious to see what Jaylen Brown can do next year. I've been a big time defender of him throughout his entire career. I'm really happy that he got that knee surgery. He can go into next year at full force. Derek White's going to have a big time year. Peyton Pritchard's going to have to be a huge scorer off the bench. Sam Hauser's going to need to be a sniper from beyond the arc, but I think the Celtics team could still definitely get into the postseason and not just have a scratch of a year. Maybe give Tatum a chance to see what type of life you have. Does Anthony Simons fit in with this team? He's a guy that can put up 20 points per game. This Celtics team is not going to be over with, in my opinion. You have a very weak Eastern Conference with the Cleveland Cavaliers at the top, and I think a lot of us can agree they are a regular season team for sure. You have the New York Knicks right behind them. The Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton tore his Achilles. Where do they stand? Is Giannis even on the Bucks next year? There's so many questions with the Eastern Conference. Do the Orlando Magic make a push at the championship from the Eastern Conference? There's a lot of question marks in this conference. I think the Celtics can surprise a lot of people for sure. The one team that I'm looking at actually is the Philadelphia 76ers. I think if they can stay healthy, I think they are one of the better teams in the Eastern Eastern Conference, it's going to be a big time question mark for next season, but I don't think the Celtics team should be nervous. I don't think anyone should be panicking on this team. Worst case scenario, Jason Tatum comes back the year after next. They still have Derek White. They still have Jaylen Brown. They still have Peyton Pritchard. Is Damian Lillard on the team? They're going to figure out a way to build around that core of guys, and I think all of them are still going to be in their prime. This is still a championship team in the Eastern Conference. It's just going to need to be time. I still believe in the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens in specific. I'm Caden Kubler, and thank you guys for watching.